This Chris Christie scandal just keeps getting more and more serious. We have another update here that's really disastrous for him and his administration. So just to give you the backstory, here's what happened. Chris Christie wanted the endorsement of a guy by the name of Mark Sokolik. He's the mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey. He's a Democrat, but Chris Christie likes to fancy himself bipartisan. So he asked this guy for his endorsement. The guy didn't want to give it. Okay, so then Chris Christie still ended up winning the election by a tremendous margin. He got 60% of the vote, just a crushing victory over Barbara Buono. That was his Democratic challenger. But he was butthurt over that whole episode with the mayor, and he decided to do some political payback. Now, what happened is one of his top officials in his administration reached out to their guy at the Port Authority and said in an email, it's time to cause some traffic problems in Fort Lee. So what did they do? They closed 2 out of the 3 access lanes that lead to the GWB. This caused tremendous backups, and this was on the day of the first day of school. And kids were getting there 4 hours late. Everybody was really pissed, and the cones were there for no reason whatsoever other than political payback. Now, directly after that happened, the media was slow to catch on. They didn't know really what happened. And the argument was from the Christie administration, it was a traffic study that is what we were doing, which is why it was, all bad and whatnot. Totally unconvincing. But Christie was condescending like he usually is and sniped back at the media when they tried to dig deeper. He was like, yeah, I was out there with moving the cones myself. Yeah, I had something to do with this. Well, it turns out he really did have something to do with this. And he now, since they're caught and the emails were subpoenaed and we know that there was an actual political payback here, as the emails show, Chris Christie is now pretending like, well, I still don't have anything to do with this. I don't know what you guys are talking about. He said, this is, quote, inappropriate and unsanctioned. What I've seen today for the first time is unacceptable. I am outraged and deeply saddened to learn that not only was I misled by a member of my staff, but this completely inappropriate and unsanctioned conduct was made without my knowledge. Notice how he keeps stressing that. One thing is clear, this type of behavior is unacceptable and I will not tolerate it because the people of New Jersey deserve better. This behavior is not representative of me or my administration in any way, except it was literally your administration that did it, and people will be held responsible for their actions. So now he's firing people left and right to try to say, me? I'm gonna get these guys, I'm gonna hold these guys responsible. First it was the guy at the Port Authority who was fired. Now it's his, top deputy official, chief of staff. And, the part of the story which is new from today is, of course, the press conference where he did over 100-minute long press conference where he's like, I apologize and I'm heartbroken, but I totally didn't have anything to do with it. So yes, I'm apologizing, but I'm not guilty. What don't you guys understand? Yes, I'm sorry for the thing I didn't do. It was, over the top, like trying to cover his ass. But dude, if you didn't do anything, then why do you feel like you need to cover your ass? See what I'm getting at here? And there was a couple lines in there that were just, the best. He said at one point, well, the thing is that there might have maybe been a traffic study. Really? So before you said there was, now there maybe was one. Which is it, dude? The story just doesn't hold together at all. But the most grotesque fact that we learned, that as a direct result of that decision that was made, 4 people were late to the emergency room. Okay, so people called 911, there was a problem, somebody experiencing chest pains or some, other things going on. 4 people, the time for the ambulance to get from point A to point B doubled because of this stupid political payback. Now, you think that's bad? There was a 4-year-old that was missing. The search was going on for the 4-year-old. It was delayed because of the traffic. Now, thankfully, eventually the 4-year-old was found. So that's the good news. But it's still unacceptable that it was delayed at all. That goes without saying. And the most depressing part, there was a 91-year-old woman. Somebody had to call the ambulance because she was unconscious, okay? She was alive, but unconscious. The time it took for the ambulance to get there was double the time it would normally take. She ended up dying. This is what happens when you are a selfish, narcissistic, egocentric douchebag who cares more about whatever happened in your little circle, your little bubble in your life, even though you won with 60% of the fucking vote. You didn't care about inconveniencing so many people just to get your little political payback. And also, I loved one of the responses from, I believe it was the guy at the Port Authority in the emails. One person said, I feel kind of bad about these kids, having to sit in traffic or whatever. The guy said, don't worry, they are the kids of Buono voters. Again, Buono, the Democrat who ran against him. Don't worry, they're the kids of Democrats. Who cares if they're 4 hours late to school? Who cares if you inconvenience them? Whatever. Now, of course, in a twist of irony on top of that, the area that they mostly affected was not a Democratic voting area. In fact, it went to Christie. I mean, so these guys are dumb. These guys are corrupt. Heads are rolling now. And at first, this might have been, just a story about a dick. But now it's a dick that is dangerous, very dangerous. And finally, I'll say, last time we talked about this, I keep stressing this point. Could you imagine if a guy like this ever gets his hands on the NSA? Now, the NSA is already, violating our Fourth Amendment rights, spying on people, and all that terrible stuff. But if you have a guy like Christie with his hands on the NSA, you don't think that he'd use it for revenge or retribution or to be vindictive or to look at his political opponents? He would do it in a second.